Welcome back. When you continue to look at the latest in the public conversation, it's now 26 minutes past 7 o'clock. We're still with Gladys Boss and Gladys Wanga, both women representatives in Uasin Gishu and Homa Bay counties, respectively. And I want us now to take a look at state of politics. Last week, there was a by-election in Machakos where one Agnes Kavindu emerged as the winner, garnering 104,352 votes against UDA's Urbanus Gengele, who scored 19,700 in that by-election. And there's a story on the Standard that is on page 8 of the Standard. UDA losses in by-elections jolt Ruto's 2022 game plan, and there's an elaborate coverage of what has been transpiring in the by-elections in Kabuchai, Matungu, and now in Machakos, where the UDA candidates have lost those by-elections. I don't know what you make of this, Honorable Boss. Why are you expecting, I don't know whether you belong to the UDA party, first of all, but you appear to have quite some warmth within the coalition of leaders that are behind UDA. But was UDA approaching this by-election in Machakos for a win, or just to test the waters?
Everybody goes into elections for a win. But looking at the performance of UDA, UDA is barely 3 months old. It's a party that hasn't even been heavily marketed and over-branded. But for being able to get 2 MCA seats and to get a parliamentary seat, that is great performance for a newly formed party. It is, even when you look at where they have, UDA has not won, UDA has been able to give a respectable runner-up position, rarely a third position.
Honorable
so
Boss, I'm confused.
Impressive showing.
I'm confused. You said that UDA got a parliamentary seat. Which one?
Musambweni.
No, but the candidate was independent.
But he was backed by UDA.
Well, it's by affiliation, maybe. So what does the losses in all these by-election mean for this new party?
I'm a strong believer, and so are many members of my like-minded members of parliament and UDA proponents, that we respect the will of the people. We respect the will of the people of Machakos County. Mm-hmm. The UDA has shown that it's a truly national party because it has fielded candidates in places where people thought traditionally this is a wiper zone, or traditionally this is an ODM zone or an ANC zone, because it's reflecting that it is presenting himself as a national party and not as a regional party at all. Mm-hmm. And therefore, like we said, even though they were only 3 months old, many parties would be shy to field candidates. But it did field candidates, and that is a very good showing. The fact that the number of votes, you can see that the UDA candidates were able to garner is a significant number, which tells you that people no longer vote according to regional blocks. People are beginning to buy into a movement that is truly national, that welcomes everybody, no matter your ethnic community, your religion, and your gender. And that is what we should be selling, pushing at Kenya. Because remember when TBD was formed initially, before it lost course, it was intended to be a truly national party. It was supposed to be a party that is not based on regions or ethnic lines. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to unite all Kenyans. And if you look at the votes that Jubilee garnered, both in 2013 and 2017, it was spread out across Kenya. Right. You have, there's a Jubilee member was some from places like in Western Kenya, places like Kisii, Garissa, and so on. So it tells you that Jubilee was supposed to be a truly national party.
All right.
Of course, vision has been lost a little, but that is why you see people, when your democratic space is closed, people look for alternatives where they can exercise their democratic space and their civil and political rights.
And Gladys Boss, you've said that the candidates from UDA have been getting a substantive number of votes. I'm just concerned because in Machakos, Gengele Alban has got 19,700, which is about 15% of the votes that were cast in that election. But if you had to compare it against the entire voter population in Machakos County, it's just a paltry 3% of that vote. But William Kamket now joins us on on this conversation. He is the Member of Parliament for Tiati. What do you make of the win in Machakos, and specifically with that alliance of your party leader, Gideon Moi of KANU, ANC's Musalia Mudavadi, Ford Kenya's Moses Wetangula, and Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, yet you are not able to make the residents of Machakos come out in a voter turnout that would be near what happened in Kabuchai of 51%. In Machakos, the voter turnout was just about 21%.
Good morning. I'm happy to join you this morning from Baringo. The win in Machakos by Senator Kavindu is first of all, I want to congratulate the new senator for Machakos, and we as the coalition, bringing together KANU, ANC, Wiper, Ford Kenya, and ODM. It's a very serious coalition moving forward, and that we are from what that win in Machakos and the other places, Kabuchai, Matungu, I see a situation where the bubble for this thing called UDA, the bubble is burst completely, and the whole idea of a movement called Hustler Nation is hot air completely. And so I'm very happy for the lady, and for former Senator Mudama, he can now it's a win-win for him. Because it is his wife, whether they have divorced or not. You know, in Africa, there is no 100% divorce, so he can easily now go home and make up with his wife.
Well, Honorable Kamket, I would advise you to not go there. Let's just talk about politics and things we can verify. And you said that you are in coalition with ODM. I don't remember that, because when your party leaders appeared in Machakos, Mulu Mutisia Garden, there were just the four of them, and they were saying that they are going to ensure that they win the presidency, and they were daring Raila Odinga to actually back them. So when did you become a coalition with ODM?
ODM is our big brother. It's a big party. We are not at loggerhead with ODM at all. We've never been. There are sibling issues only, and those sibling issues will only be solved. I'm sure Gladys Wanga will tell you that. Those are sibling issues that will be solved as we move along. We have only one common political competitor who has been trying to hoodwink Kenyans. He has new ideas or fresh ideas. Yes, we know that all he has been spreading are falsehoods and lies and propaganda. And all that is unraveling now before everyone's eyes. So we have no issues with ODM at all. ODM is the biggest party in Kenya now. And ODM is our sister party. We have no issues at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Sam, I would... Sam, kindly, my apologies.
Yes, carry on, because I need to bring in Honorable Wanga.
Yes, I think you say UDA, UDA has a dismal performance, as Ms. Kamket says, but I want Kamket to tell us how many seats KANU has, considering that it was the Independence Party. If there is a dismal performance, it is that of KANU, because you'd have expected it to be garnering at least over 100 MPs, yet it is more than, it's as old as the Republic. So you should not talk about dismal performance. And I think also kindly ask Kamket to restrain from making frivolous statements. This is not a comedy show, or else I would not be on it. I did not here to come and make comics. I came here to talk about serious affairs of state. And so you should be from referring to people's personal lives in this show. Or else I will not participate in the show if you have a joker like Kamket on it.
Well,
sorry,
I take
Sam.
Seriously.
Kamket, I think there's a fair challenge on your side. I don't know, do you have a response?
No,
How many people does Kanu have? How many
mentioned
MPs does Kanu have?
I'm sorry. I mentioned the matter of divorce, knowing that it's fresh also for Gladys. I'm sorry for that. But what I was saying is that there is only talking about Kanu is neither here nor there. We have
no. Just give us numbers.
Coalition.
Give us numbers. How many MPs?
Just a moment.
Moving forward,
Honorable Gladys, allow Honorable Kamket to respond. Go ahead, Kamket.
So it does not matter whether it is Kanu or ANC or ODM or WIPA. We are all working together towards the same objective. So when the chance comes for Kanu to fill the candidate, and the Kanu candidate is the one to be backed in that election, you will see what happens. But as we move forward, we are talking about coalitions moving forward. And that's the politics of Kenya now.
Okay, all right. Honorable Wanga, is ODM in any working coalition with the other four parties despite the fallout that we had witnessed earlier in the year? And what do you make of the outcome of the Machakos by-election?
Yeah, so first let me start with the outcome of the Machakos by-election. And I think it's a reality check. Not just Machakos, Kabuchai, Matungu. It's a reality check for UDA or UDAKU. And,
no,
and
first
UDA. I want to challenge Honorable Gladys Bose and all the other MPs elected on Jubilee ticket, but now moving around campaigning for UDA, to resign and go and seek fresh mandate on the UDA ticket. It is only fair. It has been done in the past by Raila Odinga. And so I want to challenge, including the deputy president, if they are now no longer in Jubilee and they no longer believe in ideologies of Jubilee, the fair thing to do for Kenyans and actually in law is to go back to the people, tell them that you elected us on this party, but we no longer subscribe to it. We subscribe to one, give us a fresh mandate on the new political party. That is the only way it will be fair for MPs elected on Jubilee ticket, earning salaries and so on the basis of the Jubilee party, using those resources to campaign for UDA candidates. Secondly, I think it's a reality check. The performance is dismal. It shows them clearly that the paid crowds that they, move around the country, addressing, do not necessarily translate to the vote. And I'm sure even Gladys Bose, from the way she was speaking, Gladys Bose is my friend and we are on these shows a lot with her. From the way she was speaking, she was most, cornered. It's her most cornered form. Even her, she doesn't know how to defend this performance. From the way you could see the lack of confidence in her responses. So it is, crowds, paid crowds are not necessarily votes. So I think the bubble, as Honorable Kamket put it, has been burst. Kenyans, want real issues addressed. Let me congratulate Senator Kavindu. It's another big win also for women in leadership to have another woman elected to the Senate, making the total senators, raising the number of senators, women senators to 4, and that is a big plus for women in leadership in the country.
There's a question. Yes, that question about whether you have any working arrangement with the other 4 parties that have been saying that they need Raila Odinga to back them.
As you know, right now, the divide there is a divide in the political scene. There's those who support this handshake and the BBI process, and those who don't, and who say that they are in belief of who themselves are bourgeois, but claim to be in a hustler movement. So that is the political divide. So all of us the parties that have been mentioned are all supporters of BBI, are all supporters of the handshake, the supporters of the calm that the BBI process continues to bring. And so that is where we are as ODM. And anybody who supports the BBI process, who supports the handshake, is an ally. So that, I think that is what Honorable Kamket also meant by what he said.
Okay, all right. And I want us to make progress to talk about what is on front page of the Standard, but also on page 4 of the Standard, where a new hurdle for BBI as MPs demand more say in review. There are reports that the Joint Parliamentary Committee that is looking at, that was pursuing the public participation and looking at this bill before making a recommendation to the houses, to both houses of Parliament, there is a clamor for opening of the document, the Constitutional Amendment Bill of 2020, so that a few amendments can be made, including the distribution of 70 new constituencies and the office of the ombudsperson. I don't know how true this is. I don't know whether any of you sits in that committee, but let me begin with the chair of the Delegated Legislation Committee. I know you don't sit in this particular committee looking at this, but why this clamor to open a document that we thought, because of the popular initiative, is supposed to be taken through county assemblies, then to the Houses of Parliament, and whatever happens, then we go to a referendum because it touches on some of the protected articles in the Constitution?
Okay, before I say that, Sam, I think it's very important for me to state that you listen to Kamket.
Who is the chair now? Gladys is a former chair.
Honorable Kamket, it's okay. Honorable Kamket, it's okay. She's already speaking. Let her go ahead.
No. But we have to get things right here.
That is
Gladys
what I want
is
to
my
correct.
former chair.
That is
I'm now
what
the
I
chair.
want to correct.
Okay.
Hello?
Honorable Kamket, you're the chairperson of the Delegated Legislation. Honorable Boss is the former chairperson, and she has chosen to take the question first. So go ahead, Honorable Boss.
Thank you.
I think actually that is what I wanted to correct at the beginning, that I am the former chair of Delegated Legislation with sterling performance. Kamket, I don't think you've heard about delegated legislation in Parliament since the time he took over. And then I also want to say this. I think Sam Gichuku, when we come on this show, I asked Kamket how many members of Parliament and MCAs KANU, which is an independent party, has. He didn't answer. He chose, in fact, to make comics of what we were answering. And then when Gladys Wanga was responding, she herself begins to talk about that I'm not speaking confidently. I said the UDA party is less than 3 months old. That party then has made a sterling performance. It has fielded candidates in areas that even ODM was afraid of fielding candidates. So please don't try and make suggest a demeanor that I do not have. I have always been a self-assured and a confident woman. So don't ever try and say that I'm making that I'm besides myself when I'm speaking this and I'm not speaking confidently. Now, Sam, if we are going to talk about the bill being reopened again, the people who are pushing for reopening of the bill, as the headlines are showing, is ODM and I think they said Raila allies. So I think I can take the question after they answer why they are putting this push. Then I have a lot to say about BBI, and you know that. But let's allow Kamket, the chair of Delegated Legislation, and Gladys Wanga to answer first, because let them set the ground of why, then I can give my response, because I don't want them to have because they know better.
Okay. Honorable Boss, because there's a question that is still disturbing you. I found the answer that KANU so far, or at the moment, has 8 elected members of Parliament and 2 elected women representatives at the National Assembly. At the Senate, I know of the Senator of Baringo, the Senator of West Pokot, and the nominated Senator by the name, the chairperson of the, what do you call it?
That is dismal performance for a 50-year-old party that has had resources and a president for 24 years.
Okay.
Even Jubilee now has almost 150 members of Parliament. Yes, it was only formed shortly before 2013.
Okay.
So there you go. That is what dismal performance means, Mr. Kamket.
All right, Honorable Boss, I was just providing you with the answer that you've been looking for. So let's make progress.
Now we can set the record.
And Honorable Wanga, so there's this reported clamor for reopening of the document. Why would this be?
Is it you or is it Gladys Boss? Because when you ask the question, Gladys Boss came in to answer, only to come and say that she's giving the order through which the question should be answered. So if Gladys Boss is the moderator of this show, we should know.
Honorable Wanga, let just respond to the question that I'm raising with you, and that is specifically on the clamor to reopen a document so that the question of 70 constituencies and the office of the ombudsperson can be realigned or fixed. Is that any official position?
Whether she is going to resign and seek a new ticket together with her UDA crew. Because if then she's going to, I mean, if the show is going to be moderated in that manner, then we will not be responding, you know, to Gladys Boss ordering us around here.
Honorable Boss, can we just make progress?
Okay, let's make progress. I think if you look at the places they are suggesting, is to deal with the issue of the extra 70 constituencies proposed by the BBI bill, and also the judiciary ombudsman. If you look at my civic education videos, it confirms that I did say, I was one of the first people to raise the issue, that delimitation and review of boundaries is purely the mandate of IEBC. And therefore, the statements of Jipukati have actually vindicated my initial position. If you look at the issue of the judiciary ombudsman, which people now have issues with, again, if you look at my civic education videos, I raised the red flag on these from the beginning, and I continue to take that position. So if those are the issues that they're worried about, then I'm very glad. It means they listened to me and they agree with my opinion.
Honorable Wanga, I need your response on this, because is it any official position of any side of politics to reopen the document, and are there concerns that need to be relooked at?
Let me come to this point, and people can have concerns over any part of the bill. And when the public participation was held, people raised various issues, both when it was held by the BBI team, when it was held by county assemblies, when it was held by the National Assembly and Senate Joint Committee. But there's not constitutional vacuum. I mean, this is a popular initiative under Article 257 of the Constitution. There is no room at this point in time to make any changes to the bill. There is no way to maneuver it constitutionally. So it is important that reservations are noted. Any issues raised, during public participation are noted, are put in the report. But I'm sure the committee, which consists of very notable legal minds in this country, know better than myself that at this juncture, there is no way any amendments can be made unless the process is begun afresh.
Right.
From another popular initiative is started, signatures collected over a new bill. There's no way at this point, Sam, that it is practically going to change any part of the bill. So for purposes of debate, yes, you can say, well, I have an issue with this bit or the other, but for purposes of any amendment, it's fait accompli.
But in your view, because now we've gone, for the very first time, we've gone through this process, reviewing a constitution through popular initiative, I think it has never been longer than this, because you recall that Punguza Mizigo went just to the county assemblies and never progressed from that point. Do you think it would be the desired position that Parliament would have input into a constitutional amendment bill, or should it remain as it is to secure those divided interests that may come so late in the process?
I think the Constitution provides a process through which Parliament can amend the Constitution. That is provided for. There is room for a parliamentary initiative for amending the Constitution. So that room is provided. Only that when it is a popular initiative, then it's another route. So I think, yes, it was envisaged even in 2010 that Parliament should be able to carry out an amendment process to the Constitution. and that, that is provided for, where, then Parliament is entirely responsible for what happens in the bill. But have a popular, when you have a popular initiative such as what we are pursuing now, then before the bill, came into being, there were all the opportunities, to input. At this point in time,
right,
we are probably, not every person is happy with everything. When you have a negotiated, process and document, then at the end of the day, you're not happy with every single bit. But at the stage at which we are, I don't see how there is any point of return.
Okay, and Honorable Kamket, I'll be getting to you, but first let's listen to one Wafula Chebukati. He's the chairperson of IEBC. He spoke at Parliament last week, and he was speaking about that question about 70 constituencies and boundaries delimitation. Listen.
I don't know how the BBI report or how the BBI team came up with the 70 constituencies. The allocation of the 70 constituencies to the respective counties. So I don't know what factors they took in consideration and what factors they did not take in consideration. The Commission was not consulted on that, and I don't know the source of that allocation of the 70.
And a look at the document, it reminds me that these 70 constituencies are spread across 28 counties, if I'm not mistaken, and the essence of this was to correct the imbalances in the representation of the people. But Honorable Kamket, when you look at this, now what happens? Because there's that promise that IBC is supposed to review and do the delimitation within 6 months, but they are bound. For instance, if 12 constituencies are to be added to Nairobi, then they have to make sure that happens within Nairobi without using any other data that they may have to their disposal.
As Gladys said, this process, Gladys Wanga, not the other one. As Gladys Wanga said, this process is already gone. It's a bill which is already passed through public participation. It's gone through county assemblies. It's coming to Parliament, and it just goes like that. There is nothing much anyone can do at this point in time. In as much as I personally, as member of Parliament for Tiati constituency, I have a big grudge in terms of the constituency. I expected Tiati to be divided into 2 constituencies because we have the numbers and everything that goes for us. But as it is now, there's nothing much that anyone can do. I have heard what the chairman of IEBC has said. I think there is a misunderstanding in terms of what IEBC does. Theirs is to, in my view, is to manage the process of delimitation. But this is a bill, a constitutional amendment bill, and which contains in that bill the matter of constituencies. So IEBC will still continue in the bill. It is saying that IEBC will do the boundary delimitation. Nobody has taken that away from IEBC. They will still do it, but the bill talks about additional constituencies. So I wish there was a way. I am one of those people who say, I wish there was a way of getting a constituency for Tiati, because Tiati is a deserving case. But
Honorable Kamket,
things are the way they are now. We will go with it. We will,
but Honorable Kamket, listen.
This is not the final, the first and final opportunity to amend. We will always amend this constitution.
Okay, Honorable Kamket, listen to this. Just a moment, let me follow up on what Kamket has just said. So when you say that IBC has just to play its role to do the delimitation as guided in the provisions, doesn't that take away the constitutional mandate and responsibility of IBC to ensure where a constituency should be taken in their review every 8 to 12 years?
In my view, that's a matter of conjecture. You have to look at it from the point of view that what is the role of IBC? It's boundary delimitation, okay? But this is a constitutional amendment bill. And in the constitutional amendment bill, there is the provision of 70 more constituencies. And then the same bill says within 6 months after the bill, the constitutional amendment bill passes, IBC can still go and can now go and do the boundary limitation. So, in my view, nobody has usurped the role of IBC. IBC is still there to do its job. Although, like I said, if there was any way, me as an interested person, I would go for it. But if there was any way, if there is any opening for me to get that extra constituency for my Titiatu.
Okay, all right. Honorable Boss, you once worked at the electoral body. That time, I believe it was IEC. And this suggestion that within 6 months on the passage of this bill, if it becomes law, then IBC has to comply and do the delimitation of these constituencies. Is it a possibility, and how does it injure the Constitution?
Okay, I think it's very important to set the record straight. When we are on shows like this, we should be informing Kenyans of the correct information. Article 89 of the Constitution clearly states how delimitation of boundaries is done. The BBI Constitutional Amendment Bill is not superior to the current Constitution. In as much as it is proposing the amendment of this Constitution, it cannot now become another Constitution of its own above this one and tell us what to do. And remember, boundary delimitation, as suggested by the BBI proponents, they simply said Nairobi 1, Sijuhu 2, 3, 4, etc. They allocated random numbers. But if you look at Article 89, it gives a scientific formula. When I was at IEBC, it was IIEC at that time, we had the Boundaries Commission. We had the Interim Independent Boundaries Commission, IIBC, that was there. And you can see clearly in our Constitution, it says take into account geographical features, urban centers, community interests, historical and economic and cultural ties, means of communication. It says that the number of inhabitants of a constituency or ward may be greater or lesser than the population quota by a margin of not more than 40% for cities and sparsely populated areas and 30% in other areas. It is such a scientific process. It is not something that you make a schedule on a one-page table and say these are the people getting constituencies. Sam, you can hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So it's a very scientific process. So what, even if the proponents of BBI wanted to be fair and to be doing things in a legal manner, then what they should have done is said, we recommend that the IEBC undertake delimitation and review of boundaries as taking into consideration the recent census. And that way, so if Tiati is entitled to a constituency, then you should be pleading for IEBC to do its job, not letting a schedule be prepared by BBI proponents. And this is where we are talking about the fact that we must not make illegal documents. The proponents of BBI did not follow the current constitution because they were subject to the current constitution. In fact, when they were sworn in, led by the late Senator Haji, they swore to uphold this particular constitution.
All right, Honorable Boss. And Honorable Wang, I want to give you an opportunity to give your final take, because Article 89 of the Constitution, sub-Article 2, talks about the IEBC shall review the names and boundaries of constituencies at intervals of not less than 8 and not more than 12 years, but any review shall be completed at least 12 months before a general election. The general election is in August of 2022, and therefore means that by August of this year, if there are constituencies to be used for that election, they have to have been reviewed and a report started to be implemented by August this year. So how will this affect that matrix? Is it a possibility that we'll have the 70 constituencies going to the election next year should this amendment bill become law?
Yeah, so let me first say that the BBI document as it is currently has in no way usurped the power of the IBC to delimit boundaries. What it has done, what is this process trying to do? This process is trying to correct inequalities of the past. So what it has done is to look at county by county and see how many people should be represented in how many representatives should each county have in the National Assembly? And do they have those representatives? In the event that they have those representatives, the suggestion has been given that that particular county should be given this number of additional constituencies. And that is why, people like in Tiati or in Dewa or in Karachuonyo, for example, in Homa Bay, we're saying we should have an additional constituency. But you see, if you look at the overall county and the number of constituencies it should have, vis-a-vis, so if you're in a county in which one constituency is very small, has a very few number of people, and another constituency has a lot, that constituency with the fewer number of people has eaten into the one for the higher number of people. And that's why sometimes where some constituencies are supposed to get, are supposed to be divided, for example, looking at them individually, that has not been reflected. So the suggestion in the schedule has been given in terms of which counties should be considered. But the BBI has not delimited constituencies. I mean, that should be clear. There has been no delimitation of constituencies. For example, if it says Nairobi should have this number, it has not said it should be Embakasi, that, and if that was done, that is where the problem would arise. So obviously, if the BBI process passes, it means it has then automatically dealt with the issue of 89, where it says it should be 12 months to the election.
Okay. All right. Honorable Boss, there's a question you didn't respond to, and that is if it would be possible to use the 70 constituencies in the next election, bearing in mind that there's a requirement 12 months to the election.
It depends on
sorry, it's a question to Honorable Wanga. I said Gladys. I should have said Wanga.
Sorry.
No, you said Boss. So, and Boss was right to respond. So what I wanted to say around the issue of whether it would be possible, if the people pass, the people reign supreme on this matter, pass the BBI proposal, then it is incumbent on the IBC to work within the given timelines to ensure that we have the constituencies.
Okay, Honorable Gladys Wanga, Honorable Gladys Boss, and Honorable William Kamket, thank you so much for making time for us to have this conversation. Of course, so much still to talk about. This will continue sometime. I'm told that Kamket is saying something. Well, we can't hear him, but all the same, thank you so much for your time. We'll do this again some other time. My name is Sam Gituku. Bye for now.